Picture this. Outside, the snow is falling so heavily it has gone completely silent, the way only snow can make a forest go silent, and inside, a fire is cracking in a stone hearth while steam rises off a mug sitting on a windowsill thick with frost. That is the exact feeling we are chasing in this video. Today I am taking you on a tour through 15 of the coziest snowy forest cabins you could possibly dream up. Real design styles pulled from actual cabins around the world, each one more snow-covered and more impossibly inviting than the last. Stay until the end because the final cabin on this list might be the most beautiful winter retreat I have ever come across. Quick ask before we head in. Before we step into the snow, if cozy winter spaces make your whole week better the way they do mine, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this video find more people who need a little warmth right now. Subscribe if you want more tours just like this one, and tell me in the comments which cabin on this list you would want to be snowed into. Let us go find some snow. Why snowy cabins hit different? Before we start the countdown, it is worth pausing on why this specific combination, heavy snow outside and warmth inside, works on us the way it does. Researchers studying environmental psychology have long pointed to something called the contrast effect, where comfort registers far more strongly in our brains when it sits directly against discomfort or harshness just beyond a window or wall. A cabin in summer is pleasant. A cabin buried in snow, with visible proof of brutal cold just past the glass, is something closer to primal satisfaction, the oldest kind of relief a human body can feel. That is exactly what every cabin on this list is built around. Number 15. The Nordic Timber Lodge. We start in the forests of Scandinavia, where timber construction techniques have been refined for centuries specifically to survive brutal winters. This style of cabin uses thick horizontal log construction, often dark stained pine, with a steeply pitched roof designed to shed heavy snow loads rather than let it accumulate dangerously. Inside, a traditional Kakeluggen-style tiled masonry stove dominates one wall, a design that stores heat for hours after the fire has burned down, radiating warmth slowly through the night long after most conventional fireplaces would have gone cold. Number 14. The Alpine A-frame. Moving into the mountains, the steep triangular silhouette of an A-frame cabin is one of the most recognizable winter retreat shapes in existence, and for good reason. That dramatic roofline sheds snow almost automatically, while the soaring interior ceiling creates a sense of volume that smaller cabins cannot match. Floor-to-ceiling windows at the gable end typically frame a direct view of the surrounding peaks, and waking up to find snow stacked several feet against the lower portion of that glass has become one of the most photographed winter cabin moments across social media through 2025 and into 2026. Number 13. The Canadian Trapper-style cabin. This entry draws on a much older tradition. The small, low-profile cabins originally built by trappers and homesteaders across the Canadian wilderness, designed to retain heat with minimal square footage and minimal exposed surface area. Modern versions keep that compact, deeply insulated footprint but add genuine comfort, thick wool blankets, a small but efficient wood stove and warm lantern-style lighting that mimics the kerosene lamps these original structures would have relied on. Number 12. The Russian Taiga Retreat. Deep in the birch and pine forests of the Russian taiga, traditional cabin design has long centered around a massive masonry stove, sometimes large enough to include a built-in sleeping platform directly on top of it, a design that has kept people warm through some of the coldest inhabited regions on Earth for generations. Modern cabins inspired by this tradition often preserve that oversized stove as the literal centerpiece of the home, with everything else in the layout arranged around it. Number 11. The Japanese Snow Country Minka. In the heavily snow-laden regions of northern Japan, traditional Minka farmhouses developed steeply angled thatched or tiled roofs specifically engineered to handle snowfall that can exceed several meters in a single season. Cabins styled after this tradition combine that dramatic roof silhouette with an Airori-style sunken hearth at the center of the main room, where guests sit directly around the fire rather than facing it from a separate seating area, creating a noticeably more communal and grounded winter atmosphere. Number 10. The Rocky Mountain Stone and Timber Lodge. This style pairs heavy stone foundations and chimney work with timber framing above, a combination historically used throughout the American Rockies specifically because stone resists both fire and the structural stress of heavy snow loads better than wood alone. The fireplace in cabins like this tends to be genuinely massive, often built from local field stone, sized to heat an entire open-concept living space rather than just a single room. Number 9. The Finnish Lakeside Sauna Cabin. No winter cabin list would be honest without acknowledging the Finnish tradition of pairing a cabin directly with a wood-fired sauna, often positioned just steps from a frozen lake for the traditional, genuinely bracing plunge afterward. This combination of intense heat followed by intense cold has been practiced for centuries and has seen a measurable resurgence in wellness-focused travel bookings through 2025, as more travelers specifically seek out the documented circulatory and mood benefits associated with contrast therapy. Number 8. The Appalachian Hollow Cabin. Tucked into the folds of the southern Appalachian Mountains, this cabin style favors a wraparound covered porch, useful for stacking firewood under cover and watching snow fall without stepping directly into it. Interior design typically leans into quilted textiles, a tradition with deep roots in this specific region, alongside simple wood paneling that has usually darkened beautifully with decades of wood smoke and age. Number 7. The Austrian Alpine Chalet. This entry brings genuine old-world charm, carved wooden balconies, shuttered windows, and steep snow-shedding roofs that have defined Austrian and broader Alpine chalet architecture for generations. Interiors typically feature ornately carved wood paneling, a built-in ceramic tiled stove similar to the Scandinavian style we covered earlier, and small leaded glass windows that filter incoming light into a noticeably warmer, softer glow than plain glass would allow. Number 6. The Siberian Log Izbia. Drawing from one of the harshest inhabited climates on the planet, the traditional Russian izba uses extremely thick interlocking log construction with minimal window area specifically to retain heat as efficiently as possible. Modern cabins styled after this tradition often compromise slightly, adding a few more windows for natural light, but preserve the deep, heavily insulated log walls and the compact, heat-retentive floor plan that made the original structures survivable in temperatures that regularly drop far below anything most of us will ever personally experience. Number 5. The New England Saltbox Cabin. This entry brings a distinctly American shape to the list, the classic asymmetrical saltbox roofline that originated in colonial New England, partly as an architectural response to harsh winter winds and snow loads on the northern-facing roof slope. Interiors typically pair exposed wooden ceiling beams with a centrally located brick fireplace, and the steep northern roof slope continues to do exactly the job it was originally designed for centuries ago, shedding heavy snow before it can accumulate dangerously. Number 4. The Patagonian Mountain Refuge. Heading south of the equator, where winter arrives on an entirely different calendar, cabins in the Patagonian Mountains of South America have developed their own distinct response to extreme alpine weather, heavily reinforced timber construction combined with steeply pitched corrugated metal roofing that handles both snow and the region's notoriously powerful winds. The interior atmosphere tends to feel rugged and expedition-focused, with practical gear storage built directly into the entryway design, a nod to the serious mountaineering culture surrounding many of these structures. Number 3. The Glass-Walled Modern Winter Retreat. Not every cozy winter cabin needs to look traditional, and this entry proves that point clearly. Contemporary winter architecture has increasingly embraced massive triple-glazed glass walls, technically sophisticated enough by 2026 standards to maintain genuine interior warmth despite the enormous window area, paired with minimalist concrete or steel fireplaces that feel sculptural rather than rustic. The effect creates an almost theatrical contrast, a sleek modern interior pressed directly against an untouched, snow-heavy forest just beyond the glass. Number 2. The Norwegian Turf Roof Cabin. This entry brings back one of the oldest and most visually striking Scandinavian building traditions, a living turf roof, essentially a layer of soil and grass grown directly on top of the structure, which in winter becomes a thick blanket of insulating snow that the cabin's design has anticipated and welcomed rather than fought against. From outside, snow-covered turf roof cabins can look almost like rounded hills with windows, completely integrated into the surrounding winter landscape in a way few other architectural styles manage. Number 1. The Remote Frozen Lake Cabin. Topping the list is a cabin style built specifically for total isolation, positioned directly on the shore of a frozen lake, accessible in winter only by snowmobile, skis, or a long walk through deep snow. Floor-to-ceiling windows typically face the lake directly, offering an uninterrupted view across the frozen surface toward distant mountains or forest, and the genuine remoteness of this kind of setting has made it consistently one of the most requested winter retreat styles among travelers specifically seeking digital disconnection through 2025 and into 2026. There is something about knowing help is genuinely far away that makes the warmth inside feel even more deliberate, more earned, more complete. The common thread across all 15. Looking back across this entire tour, the same handful of elements appear again and again regardless of country or century: a serious heat source built as the literal centerpiece of the home, construction specifically engineered to work with heavy snow rather than against it, and an interior palette of natural materials, wood, stone, wool, that has remained remarkably consistent across wildly different cultures facing the same basic problem: how to make brutal cold feel like a feature rather than a threat. Winter cabin design, it turns out, solved this question independently in dozens of places around the world, and arrived at strikingly similar answers every single time. From a Nordic timber lodge with its centuries-old tiled stove to a remote frozen lake cabin accessible only by snowmobile, these 15 cabins prove that winter does not have to be something we simply endure indoors. With the right design, it becomes the entire point of the trip. If this tour gave you a little winter calm or a new addition to your travel wishlist, subscribe for more cozy retreat tours just like this one. Let me know in the comments which cabin you would want to be snowed into, and I will see you in the next video.